So I would like to seize the opportunity to give you part of his experience and knowledge.
Sure, thank you so much. I was working in banks in Europe. I used to work for Banque Nationale de Paris and Banque Paribas before they actually merged. And I also went and worked for an investment bank in Bahrain for 5 years. And then I came to Bangladesh and basically started off automating various types of organizations, starting off with brokerage firms of the Dhaka Stock Exchange, and then worked for the largest MFI in Bangladesh. But the basic thing is what is important, I believe, is that manual processes have a certain way of getting the job done. Okay, the controls are built into your manual processes. But when you automate, the processes are different, and the controls actually also shift from where you think it was before to actually automated controls. And so basically a whole scale of re-engineering is needed. You don't exactly take the registers and then just put them into a computerized process, because that's really a waste of time. So what you really need to do is systematically think about what the end product you are actually asking for. What is the end result that you want to see? And then, okay, how do you get to that point in the most efficient way? So you may have to abandon the existing processes that you follow in a manual process, and then actually always focus on how do you want to see at the end of the day? What do you want to see at the end of the day? Okay, so the result is what you're looking for, and then you work backwards and to see what are the things that you need to do to get to your endpoint. That is the main thing that we do. In fact, we continue to do a lot of things. It's not just the microfinance that we're involved in. We recently did, the automation, in fact, an implementation of ERP for all the airports in Bangladesh. So that was a massive project. In fact, it's a centralized solution, and here we had to gut all their manual processes. So we had to basically start from scratch and say, okay, what is the end thing that we want to see? And it is not just one module. There were 43 different modules doing different things. So in Myanmar, we have also had exactly the same experience. We have done the automation of PGMF, which is the largest microfinance operator in Myanmar. And here also they had manual processes, very large registers, and so those had to be put into a different, we had to basically push it out and replace that with different control systems and different processes. So made them very efficient. I remember the first time when we did the automation of BRAC, that was a long time ago, I noticed that they had manual application forms for loans, and they had to authorize them. There were 18 signatures on them, 18 signatures on each form. So I asked that, okay, and at that time, their loan repayments were not that brilliant. So I said that if you have got 18 people looking at these loans, how come you have got not such a great repayment record? So I asked those 18 people that, okay, what did you actually see in this loan application? And the first guy would say that, hey, look, there are 17 other guys looking at it. So, so I went to the last guy and said, okay, what did you see? Oh, there are 17 other guys looking previously, so, I just signed it off. As a result, in fact, nobody was looking at it, okay? So I basically suggested the change. I said that, no, only 2 people. Make them accountable, make them responsible. And that really made a world of difference, okay? And in the automated system as well, there is basically a make that checkup, and that's it. So you may have different levels of authorization process, depending on the size of the loan, but still, you try to keep it to the minimum. Then the accountability, the responsibility increases significantly, and you have a much better system of control. So we have whole range of services that we provide, but all of our companies are in fact IT. There is one company that specializes in data centers, networking, hardware kind of things. Soutech Limited is basically purely software. We just develop software, different kinds of software, ERPs and banking systems, retail banking systems, human resources management systems, hospital management systems. The one in Bhutan is basically more of an outsourcing center for us. We actually outsource a lot of work to them. They also develop some of their own products, so we work in coordination with them. And the Myanmar office, this is just a new office here, and we are actually recruiting people so that we can actually provide, first level and second level support from here.
Nowadays, and also the seminars about digitization and
Right.
especially the finance sector.
Yes.
And we can see and feel there's a lot of hype, and then out of this hype, there will be a real transformation. Something really will change.
Yes.
So how do you see that right now? It's like how much hype is there, and what is the hype, and what is then the real outcome afterwards?
If I take the example of PGMF, okay, you see, the connectivity is a big issue right now in Myanmar. Initially, when we implemented the system for PGMF, we thought that we could just, it's a hybrid system, but we thought that we can actually bring together a lot of the unit offices into the central system. But we realized that the communication infrastructure wasn't really there. So recently we realized that it is getting better. So what we did is we brought in about 177 unit offices into the central system, and the remaining are still outside, they are still in the decentralized databases. Now that is the reality on the ground. Now we have actually seen some of these really good solutions out there which are dependent entirely on network. So I was feeling throughout this event is that back in 2007, I remember that Compaq came up with a handheld device, okay? And we decided to actually build something on that for microfinance collections, okay? I still remember how much it cost. It was $1,200 per unit. So it was an expensive thing for us, and we were hoping that there would be some takers for it. But unfortunately, there was absolutely no taker because it was too expensive. Here, I was beginning to feel something like that the network is not there, but the system is there. I mean, the network is not there, but you have this wonderful system like, the ones that was demonstrated by Bank Genie and also Musoni, that's entirely dependent on the network.
On cloud.
On the cloud. But you need the infrastructure, right? I mean, you need the communication lines to make it to the cloud, right? But it's not there right now. But I suppose that in the next couple of years, probably it's going to be there. So that's the time when we will actually transition into what we also have, a cloud system. We will actually transition into that cloud, maybe take a month or so to basically transfer it to all into the cloud. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but we have to still be a bit more patient, which is basically the case with all developing countries anyway. Yeah.
So right now, we discussed before blockchain.
Yeah.
The typical blockchain system is really decentralized.
Yeah.
Every ledger entry and every transaction record is distributed to everyone.
Yes.
But what you are saying right now is Myanmar right now is here.
It's a bit like this, yeah. It is.
Or maybe something like that with a regional office.
Yeah, when it comes to the network, sometimes it is not even like this. Sometimes actually you have this bit perhaps is in fact completely outside this, and you are basically having to take the data on a pen drive and bring it to the head office. That's the reality on the ground. Okay, we've got about 40 to 50 of those branch data being carried by pen drive at the end of the month, okay, to the head office, and then do the consolidation. Okay, I mean that's the reality on the ground. I mean, what can you do? In fact, on one occasion, one of these branches, okay, it was working fine. It was online. It was working fine, and then suddenly it just went off. So we started trying to discover what happened. Then we discovered that in the tower, the battery of Telenor, the battery was out. So for 3 days, that
Did you inform Telenor?
Yeah.
They
did.
got to know.
Yeah, they got to know about it, but it took them, the battery is not an easy thing to carry, I suppose. So it took them 3 days to fix it. So these are the realities, ground realities, and we need to be aware of them. But I'm sure in the last 5 years, we have seen amazing, lift off. And I know that in the next 5 years, it's going to be even more. And it's going to be brilliant. And I think that in Myanmar, people are really hungry for change. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. And it needs to be managed. That's how I feel. But that, when it comes to the blockchain, even there, you need to be connected. That part has to be there. If it is not there, it's not going to work.
True, yeah.
That's the bit. That's the biggest challenge right now we are facing. But once that is in, I think we are going to see a sea of change in Myanmar. In fact, all over the world. This blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we are moving into a different world. In fact, somebody in this event mentioned that, hey, will the central banks or the regulatory authorities, will they remain the same? And I suppose they will not be the same. Will there be a need for them? Question mark. What happens if there is a P2P platform? Okay. Can the regulators stop somebody from actually borrowing or lending money through a P2P platform? They can't. There is no regulation there. If I lend you money, who can stop me from lending you money? And if there is a technology that out there which can allow me to, in fact, find you and you can find me, and we find it okay to actually borrow and lend, how can a regulator come and tell me that you can't do this? Basically, a lot of things will change. In the next 5 years, I think we will see traditional systems being very, very fundamentally challenged. And we better be ready. I was in a conference a few days ago where there were all these banks, there was MasterCard and all these people. You see, if the local banks decided to issue their own cards, and if they were all connected, would there be any business for Visa or MasterCard? Because 99% of the transactions are between organizations within the country. Okay, so it would be very hard for Visa and MasterCard to exist in that marketplace. And these are happening right now. All the banks are getting connected. Okay, so we can do real-time transactions and settlement, regardless as to which bank I've got an account with. So this is going to happen. It's just writing on the wall. Cannot avoid it. So the financial sector, along with even the way people do transactions, say for example, a manufacturer is basically supplying goods to the retailer. That can be actually done very wonderfully through a blockchain. Okay, you can see whether this was a genuine product from the manufacturer or not, because there is a lot of fake products in the market. And is there a way of finding out as to whether this is actually coming from the manufacturer? There is a way of doing that through blockchain. So a lot of things, these new technologies that are coming in, it's a brave new world we are going into. And the other thing is that cryptocurrency, although a lot of people are talking, saying that no, we cannot allow this and so on and so forth, this is going to happen. There is no way of stopping it. There is no way of stopping it. So again, I would say that massive changes in the next 5 years. No stopping it. And there are big boys that are actually getting into cryptocurrencies as well. Libra, you have mentioned it many times.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.